Today we're going to transform this gorgeous photo of my client's beloved pup into a stunning portrait that their family can treasure forever. If you're new here, my name is Bethany Rachel of Bethany Rachel Art, and I create pet portraits to celebrate the animals that we love most. Today, I'd like to introduce you to this beautiful girl, Bonnie. Sadly, Bonnie is no longer with us, but she lived an incredible life. Much of her time was spent alongside her family working the land in Scotland, and her family wanted a special piece of artwork that would keep her memory alive for years to come. That was my goal with this portrait, to create something timeless that not only creates her likeness, but also the love, the joy, and the memories that she brought to those around her. A piece that her family can look at and instantly be reminded of the beautiful life they shared together. So without further ado, let's get drawing. So we're starting off with Strathmore's mixed media paper in toned tan. This is 300 GSM. The reason I went for tan tone is because this piece is going to be quite cool toned, so I thought it would be a nice contrast. I use frog tape as masking tape. This is a painter's decorating tape, so it's really delicate, it's really high quality. This piece is 11 by 14 inches. I also do 9 by 12 inches, but the client chose to have a bigger piece for this portrait. Again, I just split up the paper into a 3 by 3 grid by just measuring the paper and splitting those into 3 sections, and then using my ruler to create the grid. So I'm just using a HB pencil. This is a Dorner and Rowley one. I really like their pencils because they're like a triangle shape and I find them really comfortable to hold and draw with. So I'm constantly, when I'm drawing, I'm looking vertically and I'm looking horizontally, trying to match up with the guidelines. And then I was rudely interrupted by a brown floof who then decided to take a nap in the middle of my office. He is 11, so we'll let him off. So here I'm just adjusting a few things. I noticed that the piece wasn't quite where it should be. I usually like to walk away from the piece at this point and come back to it about 5-10 minutes later, and usually I can just see things a lot sharper. And that's exactly what I did here. I was able to see the adjustments that I needed to make. So I just used my Tombow and my pencil again just to make those adjustments and make it a little bit more accurate. So for the base layer, I use Shaw and Marsh soft pastels and also a pastel sponge. I'm so sorry I didn't actually record the process of me putting the pastel down. Today I'm using my Ohuhu oil-based pencils. I'm also using my Faber-Castell polychromos pencils, Tombow mono erasers. I have the point one and I have the chisel. I'm starting off with the eye. I always start off with the eye. You want to make sure that your piece is bringing so much emotion. You don't want it to be just a picture. You want it to be a piece of artwork of someone's beloved pet, you know? So starting off with the eye and focusing on the eye is so important. It just brings the piece to life. How gorgeous is the colour of Bonnie's eyes? They're like this gorgeous fiery amber. And that's such a beautiful, perfect colour, because you'll see in a minute that this piece has a lot of blues and purples, so her eye just really contrasts and stands out the whole piece, and it's just absolutely stunning. So I always start the eye exactly, and then I go around the eye with the fur, just to kind of help myself piece things together when it comes to working around the eye. And then moving straight onto the ear. I like to move from left to right with my piece because obviously you don't want to be leaning on your work. So it's always best to go from left to right if you're right-handed, and vice versa for if you're left-handed. There is, like I said, a lot of blue tones in her fur. So usually with black fur, it is quite blue toned, especially when the light hits it. And that's exactly what happened with this piece. As you saw the reference photo at the beginning, the light on Bonnie is absolutely gorgeous.
and it just brought out these gorgeous blue and lilac tones. And honestly, when I started drawing this piece and I got all my blue pencils out, I was just so excited. I really enjoyed drawing this piece. Honestly, I cannot tell you enough. It was so fun. It's just absolutely stunning. Here you can see that I'm using a little bit of lilac, a little bit of pink, just to do that slight area around the ear. This is because there's slight little bits of skin that's coming through.
If you're enjoying my portrait so far, I'd really appreciate it if you could give this video a like. It would really help reach more pet lovers who might enjoy my work too. And if you're not subscribed already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications bell so you don't miss any of my future videos. You can also find me over on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and also Patreon, where I share even more artwork, works in progress, and even exclusive content. I'm also incredibly excited to announce my brand new mail club over on Patreon called Tail Mail. Tail Mail is just £5 a month, and you'll receive a selection of goodies right to your door, including limited edition stickers, stationery, and lots of other goodies. All created by me. As a Tail Mail member, you'll also receive 5% off anything in my online store, making it the perfect way to support my work while receiving a little happy mail every single month. If that sounds like something you'd love, I'll leave all the details down below in the description.
And back to the video. So we're carrying on with the ear. Here I'm starting to add a little bit more cooler greys. All the grey pencils that I use in this piece are all cool toned greys. So no warm tones. We are very much going cool toned here, apart from the eyes, the only thing that was really kind of more of a warm tone, and a little bit of like a purpley colour here and there, which were more warm tones. But the cool grey with the blues, just they blended absolutely beautifully together, and it also created a nice organic spectrum to the light and also to the fur, and also it worked really well to add the details in the fur. I didn't really add a lot of black pencils straight away. I tend to add the black more so at the end, or it's probably the last thing I do if I do it section by section. So here I do add the black, but I still layer that black up at the very end, because to work with colour pencils, that's how you have to work with them. You have to add layers. You can't just press really hard and expect to get an insanely bright coloured pigment. You have to do one layer at a time, adding a little bit of pressure here and there, but you really want to layer them up and it'll get more deeper saturated colours that way. I am adding little bits of white here and there just to that ice blue colour, just because there's certain parts of it that have got a bit of height, and I wanted to make sure that that light detail was on those certain parts, so it makes it look more 3D basically. And obviously white is actually a cool tone colour. It is usually mixed with blue, and I do tend to use that quite a lot actually as a technique. I will put ice blue underneath where I want like really pigmented bright white, so that worked really well for this piece on certain parts. You can also see here that I'm actually blending with a cool tone grey that's more of like a mid-tone shade. It works really well as like a blender transition shade, and this is really nice when you're transitioning from those blues into the darker areas where it is starting to look a little bit more grey. I tend to use this pencil specifically quite a lot actually for blending with my colours, because obviously I draw a lot of animals and people's pets because it's the tone of the fur. But it's a really good transition colour and it blends beautifully as well. This is a Faber-Castell Polychromos pencil and it's Cold Grey 4. You can also see me with my little brush. Every now and then I like to just brush the dust off the pencils. With these pencils that I am using, you do get quite minimal payoff with them, as in terms of like, you know, a little bit of dust that comes off them. However, I was drawing this during a heat wave, and you got to remember that these are oil-based pencils. If they get hot, they are going to react very differently to when they are more at room temperature or they're cooler. You think about oil in a pan, when it's heated, it starts to go more viscous, and that's pretty much what's happening here. They blended a lot easier, but they were also kind of not crumbling, but they just had a lot more payoff. So I was just making sure that the payoff wasn't getting stuck onto the paper, and I just wanted to make sure it was nice and clean. I love drawing the nose. I do love drawing the eyes, but every artist loves drawing the eyes. It's such a beautiful thing to draw, but I love drawing the nose, especially on animals. Their noses are so detailed and they have such beautiful colours. And I think once you get that right, it just looks stunning. In Bonnie's case, there was a little bit of purple and more of like a navy kind of blue on the top of her nose that kind of blended down into the light on the front of the nose, and it looked really pretty, and I really enjoyed drawing her nose. So every now and then, as you can see at the bottom of the mouth here, I am putting down like a base layer of the lighter blue and then using more of a darker cool tone grey to add little bits of the detail. So I am adding a little bit of that grain through the lighter blue. You always really want to add a little bit of detail through the highlights because that's where you're going to see detail the most. So all through those lighter areas with the light blue, I was using the mid-tone grey just to add a bit of the grain there that I could see, because obviously Bonnie is a black Labrador. They are short-furred dogs and you can still see that straight and structured fur. So we finished the head and now we're moving on to the body. There is a lot more of this navy blue colour. I believe the pencil is actually called Ultramarine, and this is from my Hoo set. If you're interested in learning how to use colour pencil and you don't want to break the bank, I highly recommend the Hoo oil-based pencils. They are around £30 here in the UK, and you can get them from their website. My partner actually bought them me for my birthday last year, and I just fell in love with them. I will leave a link for them down in the description, and I'll leave a link for all the other products that I like to use. I cannot recommend a Hoo pencils enough. They've also got some other really great products, like their acrylic markers. They also have their own sketch paper and plenty of other products. If you are also an avid artist and you want to learn more and don't break the bank, I highly recommend the Hoo. And this is not sponsored by any means. I just really love their products and I want to share that with you guys. I love my Faber-Castell polychromas, but they are a little bit more expensive, but they are really worth it. They are more of the higher end market in terms of colour pencils. I have used Prismacolor pencils in the past. I get asked this quite a lot, but I find Prismacolors don't blend as well as the polychromas. But that doesn't mean they won't for you. Everybody's completely different in how they use their art tools. There is no right or wrong way. Just for my technique and how I like to work, I blend a lot. I think that the Faber-Castell polychromos pencils just work a little bit more better for my art style. It's also so important to get the correct paper. Having a smooth or medium surface paper is a really nice thing to work with colour pencils, but I mean there's people out there that use more of a textured surface. I personally prefer a smooth textured paper. I don't know if you'll notice, but I actually never work on white paper either. I actually love working on toned paper. I really like how you can use the background of the paper to make your piece stand out. In this case, like I said earlier, the paper I chose was toned tan. So obviously this is a warmer paper And then Bonnie herself is a lot more cooler toned, so she's going to really stand out on this paper. Here on the neck, there was quite a lot of detail because obviously this is where, you know, there's a little bit more of loose skin, looser fur as we come back down into the body. And it was really, really fun to do because you can see where I've put the lighter blue and then I've put that dark grey and the black grain going through that.
A really cute story that the family of Bonnie told me was that they used to sing to her and she used to dance with her two front paws. She used to like jump up and down with her two front paws. I thought that was so sweet and I really wanted to share that story with you guys. Can you just imagine her? Like, so sweet. I say to all of my clients that come to me and ask me to draw their pets that have passed away, I always say to them, you can always talk to me. I'm always here. If you need somebody that you just want to talk to and just pour your heart out to about, you know, the loss of your pet, I am here. Because at the end of the day, pets aren't just animals that we have in our home. They are part of your family. It's like, it's losing a loved one.
On this part of Bonnie's body, it was quite dark. But this part of the bottom left corner was actually the start of her knee joint because she was sat down. So you could see a little bit of highlight on the top of that leg knee joint there. So the reference photo that they actually gave me, Bonnie's actually stood in a field full of like straw-like grass. I don't usually draw the backgrounds unless specially requested, and that's absolutely fine if people are interested in that. But that's basically what this black pattern part is at the front. It's the shadow of the reeds and things that were sat in front of her and around her. And I wanted to keep those in. I did think about not including them, but because of the amount of light that Bonnie was stood in, it looked really natural. And I kind of wanted to stick with that natural look that she is sat outside. She is sat in an environment that she clearly enjoyed for most of her life. So I really wanted to include that. Here you can also see where I put a lot of purple down. This is more of a periwinkle kind of purple. It's more on the cooler tone side. And I've used a little bit of lilac to add some highlights in there and just blend it a little bit. I did add a little bit here and there of a more warmer tone purple, just on parts where you could see that the black was kind of transitioning into the light. It did kind of show more warmer tones, but for the majority of the piece, it was very cool toned. So moving on over to the other side of the body, I'm just continuing with this shadow down the front of her body and starting to add little bits of detail that I can still see on the fur in between these parts of the shadow. I wanted to make sure that the patterns and the grain that I could see was fluid throughout the shadow. I didn't want it to look kind of a little bit mismatched. I wanted it to look uniform. So we've almost finished the end of the piece now. We're over on that one side of the body. I don't know if you could notice actually, I am now wearing gloves. This is purely because I've started wearing gloves because it's just a lot safer for the piece in terms of keeping its integrity, keeping it clean. I always wash my hands before I do any of my pieces, but I just thought for an extra bit of security, you get oils that come out of your skin and things like that. I wanted to make sure that they're all clean. So here for the final touches, I do this at the end of every piece. I use a Posca acrylic paint pen, and I always use it on parts like the capsulite in the eyes, there's certain little water lines around the eyes, and also on the nose. And at the very end, this is where I'm touching up on those black parts. I'm just adding a few extra layers of the black to make sure it's nice and solid, and just adding a little bit more white here and there just to add those solid highlights.
And here she is, Bronnie brought to life on paper. I truly hope this portrait brings Bonnie's family as much joy as she did to their lives. While she may no longer be by their side, her memory, her spirit, and all those wonderful memories that they shared together will still remain. Creating portraits like this is such a privilege, especially when they help preserve the memory of a beloved family member. I hope I have done Bonnie justice and created something that her family can treasure forever. If you've enjoyed watching this portrait come to life and would be interested in commissioning your own portrait of your pet, I would love to hear from you. You can visit my website, bethanyrachelart.com, to order your own custom pet portrait today. You'll also find links to all of my social media, my Patreon, including the Tail Mail Club, in the description below if you would like to follow and support my work even further. Thank you so much for watching, and most importantly, thank you for celebrating Bonnie's beautiful life with me. Until next time, guys. Bye!